Today on Code Red, we're going to tell you the story of one of the most highly decorated women in Australian military history. Matina Jewell began her 15-year career in the military at just 17 years of age and went on to serve on the front line, tracking down war criminals, fast roping with Navy SEALs and navigating her way through war-torn countries in the Middle East.
I'd worked damn hard to get to where I was, and I had a fantastic future ahead of me in the army. But in a split second, all of that was gone and I had no say in that decision. There were just so many times where I really should have died.
Matina was deployed on 5 missions throughout her career and was awarded 8 military service medals. The 41-year-old peacekeeper has since retired from her position, using her unique set of skills to educate others in leadership and in teamwork. And Matina Jewell joins us live in the studio. Welcome to you. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
What an incredible story you have. Let's talk through the joining the service, because you're 17 years old, cruising, having a nice easy life there in Byron Bay, in the most laid-back place in Australia. What was behind that decision?
I think pivotal to that decision to join the military, I toured China when I was 16 playing volleyball, and that was the first time I'd seen poverty firsthand. And I think I came back from China far more appreciative of what we have in Australia and wanted to serve in a humanitarian aid aspect, to be able to help people who are in crisis, be a leader of teams, and also to represent my country in countries overseas. So all of those things combined led to that decision to join the military as an officer in the army.
Right, so how can you describe what it is like to be in the middle of the war? Can we understand it as mere civilians?
I think for us in Australia, we are so blessed to be in this country, and so, you know, war zones are so foreign to us. It's something we see on the television. And for me, that war in Lebanon in 2006, it was obviously terrifying and also very challenging. Unlike my previous 4 missions with the Australian Defence Force, this with the UN, you know, we were unarmed peacekeepers, so we were very vulnerable in that environment. And in a split second, we went from monitoring a peace agreement to being thrown in the middle of a devastating war, where we were on the receiving end of all sorts of weaponry, from fighter jets, attack helicopters, tanks, you name it. You know, we were receiving that incoming fire.
So in that role, all of a sudden now you're responsible for not only yourself but 16 other lives as well. What sort of leadership challenges do you face with that?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest leadership challenge I faced during that war was, after so many near misses at the base, I was then tasked to command a convoy of UN vehicles, 2 large armoured personnel carriers, with 16 Indian and Ghanaian soldiers through the war zone. And that, what would have taken normally 2 hours to complete that drive, took 2 days under fire. And so many leadership challenges of, you know, roads that were being completely destroyed by fighting, with, you know, fighter jets and bombing. You know, landmines in southern Lebanon restricted my movements, and there's no GPS. Our maps are you know, dodgy maps, incompatible radios, and just so many problems as a leader. Just went on. And I guess I learned how to adapt to succeed in those environments where you just have to think outside the box and find a way through.
Let's ask, how much of that is training? Does the training kick in, or is it purely sort of personal skills that you just have to learn along the way? Because it's fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the two, Kylie. I think you have all this training, but you don't really know how you're going to respond until you're in that heat of the moment. And then I think it's a personal skill. And in many ways, I think as leaders, you have to be able to remove the emotions from the environment that you're in, so that you can keep making decisions to stay alive and keep others alive.
Okay, so we said in the intro, one of the most highly decorated women in Australian military history. You earned 8 medals during your service. Just talk us through those.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate. I earned 6 Australian and United Nations peacekeeping medals, so they're service and war medals, and also 2 Republic of Lebanon war medals, so their Wounded in Combat medal and their war medal, which is for acts of bravery on the battlefield. And I'm the only Australian to ever receive those 2 Lebanese medals, so they're very precious.
Very precious.
As a woman, I do love jewellery, and that's some of the best. That's some of the best I've ever seen. That beats any diamond ring, doesn't it? Outstanding. You've since written a book, and you've become a mum. So you didn't become a mum while you're actually in active service. That must have been a conscious decision to. You know, it must be very difficult to have been a mum for people who are mums, working overseas and doing that job. But you became a mum afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards. I look, hats off to all those military people, men and women, who go and represent our country, do such an amazing job overseas, leave their families behind. And I think often it's the families that suffer the most in those environments, where people are deployed for 6, 12 months at a time. Very tough. I'm very fortunate to be a mum. It was very difficult with my injuries that I sustained during the war, and you know, after years of IVF, eventually fell pregnant. So
Really?
two little rascals now. That's two beautiful girls. That,
great story.
Caught in the Crossfire is the book. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's an Australian first to have QR code technology in a book, which means the reader can actually scan barcodes on the pages and actually watch videos that I took during my time during the Middle East.
It's amazing technology. Yeah.
So your own
fantastic.
videos pop
So
up
mine
on
it
it?
is, yes. So, if I've talked about fighter jets bombing us, you can then scan that barcode and actually watch a video of that happening. So it really does immerse the reader into the action.
Wow.
That's incredible.
It's a whole new
Martina.
world, isn't it?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
To read more about Matina's incredible career, you can pick up a copy of her book. This is what it looks like. It is called Caught in the Crossfire by Matina Jewell. Thanks, Matina.